And God said, "Let there be
The
light."
Lord says, "Let my people go."
I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
This is the Talkin' Bible podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Talkin' Bible with Rohan Bell and Jeanie Schwarz. Hello, Jeanie.
Hello again.
Hello again.
We have talked a lot about this one before.
I feel like we've
Actually.
talked about everyone a lot before.
Yes.
We've really saturated the Gospels, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
We have. Jesus heals a blind man.
Yep.
Okay.
As he did.
Yes, he did indeed.
Yes.
This is not Jesus healing the blind man in John 9. This is a different story.
No, this is in Mark
This is in
8.
Galilee, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Galilee blind man.
When he arrives at Bethsaida.
Bethsaida.
Yes.
Yeah, Bethsaida, I think.
Bethsaida. Some people bring a blind man to Jesus and they begged him to touch the man and heal him. Jesus took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. Why would he lead him out of the village?
I think he's just trying to preserve the man's dignity, personally. That's
Not
just my
taking him away from
doubts,
his old
crowd.
situation,
Yeah, maybe. And that's come back to me. You said that once before, didn't you?
No,
yes,
we have
that's
talked
just
about
come
this.
back to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, well, that's a good point. Yes. Okay. He may be taking him out of his old so he can do something fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go with your answer, Jeanie. I like that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then he spits on the man's eyes and he lays his hands on him and asks, "Can you see anything now?" And the man looks around and he says, "Yes, I see people, but I can't see them very clearly. They look like trees walking
What a
around."
strange thing to say.
Yes.
It does presume that the man probably previously had sight.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Yep. Totally does, right? So
Yeah.
for
Unlike
whatever
John
reason,
9,
he's
where the
lost
man was born blind, this one seems to be he's lost his sight for some reason.
That's an interesting point, actually, when I get to what we're going to get
Okay,
to.
great.
Okay. Then Jesus places his hands on the man's eyes and his eyes were opened. His sight was completely restored. So Jesus had to do two actions, actually three. He
Three.
spits, lays his hands on him, and then places his hands again.
Second time. Yep.
And his sight was completely restored that third time. And he could see everything clearly. And Jesus sent him away saying, "Don't go back to the village on your way home. Don't go back to your old life."
You
That
go back
sort
to your
of
old
sounds
way.
like to
Yeah.
me.
And Bethsaida, this is one of the towns that Jesus pronounces judgment on when he says, "Woe to you, Chorazin and Bethsaida, if the miracles that were performed in you and were performed in Sodom and Gomorrah, they would have repented long ago." So perhaps it's a little bit like, he whether he's deliberately wanting to avoid having the miracle or not, them not being held accountable for this, yet another miracle that they refuse to acknowledge. I don't know, but there's definitely a lack of faith in this town.
A lack of faith, definitely in the town. But Jesus is still going to do a miracle.
He was still going to do the miracle anyway. Maybe he had to pull him out of that thing because of the lack of faith in the town. Had to get him out of there.
And he sent him on his way.
Yep, sent him
He
elsewhere.
disconnected him from his past.
Come on, that'll preach.
Yes.
Turn your back on the
isn't
past.
that what he's doing?
Absolutely, I love it.
Now, this
Yeah.
story actually appears roughly halfway in Mark.
Yeah, chapter 8, the 16 chapters. Yep,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, and what has
Interesting.
Jesus been saying to people, to his disciples before?
Before
Or
this.
insinuating, you do not see.
Oh, okay, yes. In the previous chapters?
Yes.
You're trying to lead me down a path. I didn't know where you were going there. So you're saying in the earlier chapters, Jesus is dealing with sight about who he is a lot. Is that what you're saying? What?
Yes. Yeah, the disciples are not able to see Jesus for who he is.
Which is part of what Mark's gospel is really focusing on, that, isn't it? That
Yes.
they missed who Jesus was, and ultimately the person who recognizes who Jesus is the Roman centurion at the end of the story, not a Jew.
Yes, exactly
Yes.
that. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
So by the end of Mark, people do see who Jesus was.
But it's usually it's not the people who should have seen who Jesus was. Yes.
Yes. And so when it says about Jesus, the blind will see.
Yes.
In a way, he's talking about his disciples.
His disciples
here,
seeing.
Because they don't actually see clearly.
Yeah,
They see people
wow.
walking
Come on.
around like
Take it away.
trees, but only later on will they see him clearly.
So this is a miracle and a story that is written that it's not just about this man, it's about the disciples. It's about us as his followers. Good point.
Because he takes them out. He doesn't perform this miracle in front of
Yeah.
anybody else, but his disciples are standing around and he lays his hands, he spits, he lays his hands. And even though they see that, they were expecting a miracle. They were expecting this man to receive full sight, but
It didn't happen. Yep.
so this is done for the purpose of the disciples.
Very good. Is this your own idea or did you read this somewhere?
It's probably a bit of both.
That's
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever thought. Maybe you told me last time, but it didn't settle. But that's a really good explanation of what's going on in the story.
Yeah.
It really sits well with me.
Yes, and it's very evident that Mark was very clear in how he was writing his
Oh, yeah, very intentional. I mean, we spent a lot of time in Mark, didn't we, working our way through it. But yes, very intentional around the purpose of his gospel was, who is this man? Which is what you often ask, and you're asking this year, who is this man?
Yes.
That's what what Mark was writing his gospel to be, to point towards Jesus being God who became king.
Yeah. And it's evident that they had no idea who he was.
No.
They didn't see him clearly.
Hence, numbers of times in Mark's Gospels, who is this guy? Even the wind and the waves, they were always asking, who is he that forgives sins? Who is it that does this? Yes.
Yeah. And this makes me think that later on with the transfiguration, they actually see Jesus clearly at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so see how the gospel is
So it's
quite
very
clever, how it
written.
weaves that point through.
Yeah, especially once you know that's an overarching thesis or premise that Mark is using to tell Jesus' story. He's written it with that lens in mind.
Yeah, but if you don't know that, you're going to read this out of context and think, hang on a minute. Before we said in yesterday's reading that the healing power was strongly on Jesus.
Yeah.
Today it looks like it's
healing
not
on him. Yeah, that's right.
because of 2-3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
But in
And
fact,
that's not the point of the story, is it?
no, Jesus is doing something super clever.
Jesus could have healed instantly. The fact that it's a progressive healing was more to illustrate a point to his disciples about their gradual dropping of blindness. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Oh,
Yeah.
well, good. Like it.
Yep.
Yep. I'll go with that. Well done.
Yes. Well, thank you. So this is one of those times that you just cannot read it and understand it without reading
Without
the whole
context.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And asking questions, what is Mark saying? What is he doing? Who is blind? Even the people closest to Jesus
Yes.
were blind
Yes.
at a time.
Yep.
But only through their journeys with him in Revelation do eventually they finally come to the transfiguration
Yep.
and the death
And then
of
they
Jesus
see it.
and they see him fully. But they also couldn't see him fully because they don't have the full story until the end.
Yes. Gotcha. So now, how does that apply to us then?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I'm thinking out loud here. We do have the full story, but we still continue to grow in the depth of the full story. So the message for us is that we all have areas of blindness that we don't yet see Jesus as clearly and fully as he is. We are being, Paul says in 2 Corinthians 3 or 2 Corinthians 1, he says, we are all with unveiled faces of being transformed from glory to glory. So there's a gradual understanding and grasping of more of God in our lives, but that's a lifelong process, and we need to be okay with that. We're not where we were, but we're not fully. We don't have perfect 2020 spiritual vision yet. By God's grace, we are growing in that, and we need to have a humility to realize that. That's part of how God does it. He takes us on a journey of growth.
That's true. And to add to that, this man didn't have a spectacular faith.
No.
He didn't receive this miracle because he had a spectacular faith.
Yep.
He actually grew in faith after God's healing power was at work in him.
Great. That's a good point. So that comes back to us being humble enough to realize that there's lots we don't know and staying curious and wanting to learn more of Jesus. Not thinking that, two things I can hear you saying there. One is that we don't need to have it all together and be perfect to see Jesus move in our world. But I guess the flip side of that is that just because Jesus has moved in our world doesn't mean we have it all together yet. And it's the ongoing work of Jesus which will transform us into his image more and more.
Yeah, and half the miracle is still a miracle because that guy, he couldn't see the people clearly. He could see them like trees, but still a miracle.
It's still a miracle. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
And that implies that maybe God works in stages.
Yes.
You might get half your miracle now
Yeah.
and you might get it later on.
Definitely.
But don't give up.
Don't give up. No, keep persevering because God is still working. Yeah, great. Like it.
Yes.
Good one.
That's kind of all I had to
That's all
say
you gotta
on
say
this.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
cool.
we spoke about it at length last time.
Okay, it must have been a while ago, but I do remember that conversation now.
It was. Yes.
Well, it'll be in the app, and in the app you'll be able to go to Mark chapter 8 and bang, it'll be there. And it'll probably be multiple references to the same story, and you can find our extra podcast straight from our Anchor Point app if you need to. And go to Anchor Point Church, click on the Bible tab, and away you go. You can find any scripture. We've pretty much got any gospel passage will nearly have a podcast about it now, I reckon.
Yeah, I think
Any of the
so.
red letters of Jesus will.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, then. That's it for today.
Yeah, that was a short one.
That was a short one,
Yeah.
but a good one. Okay, we're on to Thursday tomorrow. Jesus rebukes hypocritical religion. That's a little bit like what we did with the Pharisee and the tax collector.
I did just see a note that I wanted to say.
Go ahead. We've got time. I haven't pressed pause yet.
All right. What does this say about us as being blind in the church? Like we see Jesus partially, or do we see him fully?
I think that would flow on from what I was saying, is that we shouldn't ever think we see Jesus fully. And that's what Paul says. We are being transformed from glory to glory. The veil has been dropped. As Paul says, we can see Jesus, but we have to also be humble enough to realize that we don't see all of Jesus yet. And our church doesn't have full wholesale control over all of Jesus, as if the church down the road doesn't see parts of Jesus that we don't see, and you'll see parts of Jesus I don't see. We need each other in order to get a more full picture. Just today, on my way here this morning, I'm listening to the Undeceptions podcast from John Dixon this week, and it's talking about being teachable and learning, and how we need to learn from one another. And it's talking about church history and how we need to learn from the traditions. We need to learn from our enemies. We need to learn from people who have different perspectives to us. If we think that we have wholesale access to 100% truth, we will never continue to learn, and we'll continue to stay blind. Let's be a people who are willing to learn from others.
Good statement. So my last question, which I forgot, was who is Jesus in this?
Who is Jesus in this passage? I wonder if I see Jesus in this passage in that he is gracious enough to show his disciples that they're blind, but also, and show us that we're still blind, but do it in a way that's invitational into a more progressive learning. He's not down on us because we are blind. He is, or spiritually have spiritual blindness. It's an invitation to say, hey, if you'll stick with me, I can remove that blindness.
Yeah, very good. And I like that Jesus took him out of the village, out of his past, disconnected him, and then set him free.
Yeah, great thought. I like that one. Yeah. Sometimes we can't go back. We have to get out of our worldview to see God move, definitely.
Absolutely.
Can't live in the past.
Yep.
We spend a lot of time living in the past, and we've got to let Jesus lead us out of that. Good thought. Yep. Excellent. We're done. It took an extra couple of minutes, but was worth it. Some good thoughts there. Okay. Talk to you tomorrow, everyone.